So here we go again. World of Warships just dropped update 14.7, and the Dutch cruiser line suddenly decided to stop being the mid-class passengers of the cruiser world, and now they've turned into something that makes you rethink whether queuing up for randoms is really a good idea. We're talking about Jaarsveld at tier 8, M at Vancouver at tier 9, and Utrecht at tier 10. And each one of them just got handed some very real buffs that honestly make them way scarier than people were ready for. Now, let's be honest, the Dutch cruisers were always kind of niche. People saw the airstrikes as a gimmick, fun to drop on a stationary BB or an unsuspecting Smolensk, but nothing that was going to define the match. But after these buffs, yeah, you might want to start checking the sky before you even think about pushing into one of these things, because Utrecht and her little brothers are a lot less forgiving now. It's not just a gimmick anymore, it's actual consistent pressure that stacks with everything else they do. And here's the kicker. These buffs didn't just sprinkle a little spice on them, they changed the overall playstyle into something way more oppressive. We're talking better damage potential, way scarier impact with those airstrikes, and the kind of mid-range dominance that makes you hesitate before committing your battleship broadside. So if you thought Dutch cruisers were just background noise before, well, update 14.7 basically shoved them straight into the spotlight. And trust me, it doesn't look pretty if you're the one playing against them. Okay, so let's talk about the so-called upgrades these Dutch cruisers just got in the 14.7 update, because honestly, it feels like Wargaming looked at the line, shrugged and went, let's make the bomb scarier, but also make you wait longer. That's balance, right? It's like they gave you a super fancy new sports car, but the catch is, they only let you drive it on Sundays between 3 and 5 p.m. Starting with Tier 8 Jaarsveld, this thing now has its She airstrike reload time bumped from 55 seconds all the way up to 73 seconds. 73 seconds! That's like get up, stretch your legs, grab a snack, and maybe even do your taxes kind of downtime. But in return, you get some juicier numbers. Maximum bomb damage jumped from 5,800 to 6,900, which is no small bump, and the fire chance went from 33% to 39%, which means if you actually land the strike, you're basically playing Arsonist Simulator at this point. Oh, and armor pen got tweaked from 34 to 37 millimeters, which means you can smack more cruisers and some thinner battleship decks instead of just watching your bombs bounce uselessly. So what does this mean for Jaarsveld in practice? Well, your whole playstyle turns into patient predator mode. You don't just yeet airstrikes whenever they're ready anymore. You really need to hold on to them for the right opportunity. It's like fishing with dynamite. You don't get to throw sticks every minute, so you better make sure the throw you do get is landing on a juicy school of fish. Preferably a battleship player who's reversing into an island and typing angrily in chat about destroyers. It forces you to pick your moments, but when it hits, oh boy, you're cooking people alive, literally. Now let's move up to Tier 9, M Vancouver, which I'm convinced was balanced by someone who wanted to teach players patience as a life skill. Its airstrike reload has gone from 50 to 67 seconds. Again, that's more than a whole 15 seconds added onto your waiting time. Imagine you're in a knife fight with the destroyer and you're desperately waiting for that one button to save your life. Except, the button is now laughing at you, saying, "Sorry, Chief. Check back in a full minute plus some change." But again, the trade-off is beefier bombs. Damage goes up to the same 6,900 max. Fire chance bumped to 39%. And that 37mm pen means you're going to see more satisfying hits when you actually connect. The irony is that for Vancouver, you already had a kind of awkward role at Tier 9. You're not tanky enough to brawl, your range isn't exactly something to brag about, and your airstrike was your main gimmick. Now, the gimmick is stronger but less frequent, so it's the definition of feast or famine. You either drop it on a poor unsuspecting cruiser that evaporates in fire, or you sit there twiddling your thumbs wondering why you didn't just pick a ship with torpedoes. It's kind of like being that one guy at the party who only knows a single magic trick. When you nail it, everyone's impressed, but when you mess it up, you just stand there awkwardly with a deck of cards in your hand. Finally, let's talk about Tier 10 Utrecht. And here's where things get really spicy, because this ship's airstrike has always been the line's ultimate flex button. Before, you had a nice comfy 45-second reload. You could basically use it constantly, harass people into oblivion, and be the annoying mosquito buzzing around battleships' heads. But now, 60 seconds, a full minute. That's the difference between, oh, I can suppress these guys constantly, and oh, I guess I'll go get a drink while I wait for my cooldown to come back. But just like its little brothers, Utrecht's airstrike got juiced in the actual punch department. Same deal. max bomb damage up to 6,900, fire chance now 39%, and 37mm pen, so your strikes actually feel impactful. And the funny thing is, with Utrecht's better concealment, survivability, and range compared to the lower tiers, the buff hits hardest here. Yes, the longer reload stings, but when you do line up a strike, it's going to hurt a lot. The threat level has gone from, oh, it's just another Dutch cruiser throwing confetti at me, to wait, if I sit broadside near an island and I might actually lose half my HP and be permanently on fire. So looking across the board, all three ships basically got the same formula. More firepower, but you gotta be more patient. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does shift how you play them. Dutch cruisers were already kind of a love it or hate it line because airstrikes are such a gimmicky mechanic. You're not slinging torps, you're not throwing the best shells in the game, you're relying on timed carpet bombing runs from a range. And now Wargaming is essentially saying, fine, we'll make your gimmick scarier, but you don't get to use it as often. It's a weird balanced decision because while the raw numbers look like a buff, the practical experience can sometimes feel like a nerf if you're used to spamming airstrikes as soon as they're ready. So is it an upgrade? Kind of. Technically yes. The damage and fire chance numbers are higher, which feels amazing when you land those picture-perfect drops. But on the flip side, the downtime makes the ships feel more sluggish. If you're patient, disciplined, and only strike when the stars align, you're going to be rewarded more than before. But if you were the type of player who just mashed the button every chance you got and hoped RNG carried you, well, you're going to be sitting there staring at a grayed out icon a lot more than you'd like. So conclusion, the Dutch cruiser line is no longer a meme. No longer just that weird gimmick line you grind once and forget they're meta-relevant. They're dangerous, and they're about to ruin a lot of games for people who aren't paying attention. If you're in a battleship, you're going to be looking over your shoulder a lot more. If you're in a destroyer, you're going to think twice before sitting smugly in your smoke. And if you're in another cruiser, good luck trading with something that can delete you from the sky while still slapping you with shells. In short, 14.7 turned the Dutch cruiser line into a proper menace, and unless the balance hammer comes swinging back in the next patch, we're all just living in their world now. Honestly, looking at the state of the game right now, it feels like World of Warships just decided to throw the Dutch cruiser line into the spotlight and tell everyone else to just deal with it. Before this patch, you could kind of ignore Jaarsveld, M. Van Kuren and Utrecht unless you were caught broadside at the wrong time. But now, with 14.7, these ships have basically been given a "we're relevant now" card, and they are absolutely flexing it. The airstrikes come down harder, the cooldowns are more forgiving, the accuracy feels better, and the damage potential has shot up in a way that makes you question if WG balanced these ships after drinking too much coffee.